Now, let's go back to the Hydramax touch manual. Did it say just how far it was?
45 minutes.
Okay, and that was 15.
Like it, what, 22 or something?
Okay, all right, good. All right, I got some time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some programming on this touchpad. Some of you may have this and some of you may not. This is beginning to kind of come around now. This is the replacement for the joystick. This is the replacement for the joystick. So if you don't have one now, you may end up with one before it's over with. And you just need to understand how to program. I wish I had my little jumper wire that I could connect to this thing and show you the blinking lights and stuff on it and how to program this thing. But I can go through it here because you're going to take this book back with you. And you can use it to go by. So that being said, page 4 shows you a picture of the front of the console and the various switches that we talked about this morning. A lot of this I'm not going to go over because we went over it this morning when the operators were here. So one of the things that I am going to do is, starting on page 5, is a glossary of terms. Some of these words and stuff in here, when I started hearing about how this thing was programmed and stuff, wait a minute, what does that mean? What does that word mean? You know, somebody else might use a different word than I do for the same thing. So I questioned myself on some of these things as we started going through it, and it made sense once I read the definition of it. So what we decided to do in this manual is totally different than any manual you've ever seen. And if it's wrong, it's my fault. What we did is we put the glossary of terms in the front of the book. We didn't put them in the back. We put them in the front of the book. And you know the other part? They're not in alphabetical order. You know what order they are in? They're in the order that you're going to run into them in the book. That's what order they're in. When you start reading through this thing, well, what is this? What is that? They're in the order that they're listed in the book as you start going through programming and stuff. So I did 2 things wrong. I put it in the front of the book and I didn't put it in alphabetical order. But you know what my system is now. So it's in the order that you're going to run into it in the book, which to me makes sense. Might not make sense to you, but it does to me. But anyway, some of these things that we can do, matter of fact, flip it over to page 6 up at the very top. LED brightness. A lot of people didn't realize that we could actually, these LEDs that are in here, we could turn them up and turn them down. If they're glaring too much at night, you can go in here to the program and you can actually dim these things down all the way to 0. You can make them go completely out. So from 0 to wide open. Now I can tell you the factory setting on this is wide open. That's what the factory setting is on it. But there's some terms and questions and stuff you would have about what is that. Well, you can go right back to the front and you can see what it is. Halfway of page 6, it says illuminated safety features. We've already talked about those, about the body up, disabled, low oil, all that kind of stuff. That's these little LED lights that are over to the right-hand side of the panel. We talked about that this morning. Operating instructions, we went over that this morning with the operators.